Hey everyone, this is Adam with MotorChimp. Today we're going to be talking about Stellantis is struggling. For those that don't know, Stellantis is one of the largest automakers in the world. They own well-known brands like Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Fiat, um, and a couple others, I believe. So let's just get right into it. Let's share screen. Yeah, I'm going to share screen. I'm Adam from MotorChimp. Still trying to figure out a new name for the channel, but anyway, this is in auto news. Stellantis U.S. sales dropping, sales more troubles ahead. There are a lot of things at play. Here is this tab instead. This is in the Seattle Times. Why Stellantis owner Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram is struggling. Analysis. Stellantis, an automotive colossus that owns more than a dozen brands, which includes Chrysler, Fiat, Jeep, Peugeot, and Ram, is facing challenges at seemingly every turn. The company's sales and profit have been plummeting. Dealers stuck with parking lots filled with unsold cars are publicly criticizing Stellantis and its CEO in unusually harsh terms. In my experience, if dealers are doing that, that is a really, really bad sign. I have not actually worked for a dealer, but I know a lot of people that do. And typically this means something's very wrong if your dealers are publicly saying the CEO is doing a terrible job. Stellantis stock price has fallen almost 50% from its high point in March, and the unit that represents its U.S. factories workers is threatening to strike at several plants. In some other news that was actually released today, Stellantis is actually suing the UAW. I think that's a very bad move by Stellantis, but totally up to them. At press time, the UAW locals were expecting to vote to authorize strikes against several Stellantis factories, protesting what they say are broken promises by the automaker. The problems are raising questions about the future of Carlos Tavares, the Stellantis CEO who races cars in his spare time, of course. After taking the reins at French car maker PSA in 2015, he acquired a series of rivals to build a company that last year sold more cars than General Motors did. Last month, Stellantis said it is evaluating who should lead the company when Tavares' contract expires in early 2026. Tavares could remain CEO, but the statement was hardly a vote of confidence. If it was my bet, they're probably going to choose somebody that is a senior leader at Ford or GM, because typically executives there have stayed with the company for a very long time. Mary Barra at GM is a very good example of that. Her dad was at GM. She worked for GM for a long time as an engineer, and then she was promoted to chief executive officer. They are probably going to really be looking for a CEO or some executive that has a lot of auto industry experiences and know what they're doing, because it's a tough market. In 2020, PSA merged with Fiat Chrysler, and the combined company adopted the name Stellantis. While the company is based in Amsterdam, its U.S. operations accounted for more than half of Stellantis' profit in the first 6 months of 2024. No secret, U.S. is the biggest automotive market. We have about 315 million, 310 million, I believe, cars on the road. So you think, I believe the U.S. population is about 350 million. So you consider we have almost a car for almost every single person in the U.S. So that's why you see the Chinese and all these huge companies. They always want a big piece of the U.S. automotive market because it's the biggest and most important. Let's see, where was it? Meaning that problems here reverberate across the Atlantic, and the problems are deep, analysts say. I wouldn't want to be Carlos Tavares, says Aaron Kidding, the senior director of economic insights at Cox Automotive, a market research firm. They do a lot of advertising too. Job and other Stellantis brands raised prices more than other automakers did in recent years, Keating said, and waited longer to offer discounts when demand slowed. High interest made those prices even more unpalatable to car buyers. As a result, many people who are ready to trade in Jeep Wagoners or Dodge Chargers that they bought 3 or 4 years ago can't afford the latest models. Honestly, personally, that's an issue that I have right now. Even about 2.5 years ago, I was actually looking to buy a Mazda CX-5. And what I noticed was, yet even though interest rates were fairly low, the issue was that the used car market was insane. So the prices on these used models, which are even 2 or 3 years old, were, I think, 25, 30 grand. And a lot of them would get sold. And then the newer models were hard to come by and they weren't that much more. So it was a crazy time. Right now we have high interest rates, so that scares away car buyers and home buyers on these large purchases. Dodge dealers have on average 149 days of supply on lots. That is insane. For dealers to have that much supply, way oversupply. So I guess if you want to deal on a Dodge or Chrysler, you could Jeep Cherokee. That's almost twice the industry average. Yeah. Market share of Stellantis brands in the United States had fallen 8.6 as of the end of June and 4% a year earlier, Cox said. So how dealerships usually sell cars is people think that they own them. They actually don't. Usually what they do is that they essentially are leasing or renting the vehicle from the finance division of whatever automaker that they work with. So it's Ford, you're essentially paying monthly to keep those cars on your lot. And then when it sells, you make money not only on the financing side of it, which is really where dealerships make money, but you're also going to make money on actually selling the car. Now, selling the car, actually, most people don't know this, but selling cars isn't that profitable. You maybe make $2,000 or $3,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but if you consider all the other expenses that an automaker or dealership has, that usually isn't a huge part of their revenue. Usually, the parts and service, that's a bigger revenue driver and financing for dealers. So if they have these cars sitting on the lots and they can't sell them and they don't have a way to sell them, that is a huge problem because they're just losing money every single day that a car sits on the lot. So you'll hear from car salesmen, something I heard a long time ago was a deal today is better than a deal tomorrow. Sometimes they actually might like to lose money on car deals, like end of the month or making a deal today because they don't want a new car sitting there just on the lot. They want to keep things moving. They want to keep cash moving. Dealers are furious. Kevin Farish, chair of the Stellantis National Dealer Council, which represents the company's independent car dealers, blamed decisions that favored short-term profits and helped Tavares qualify for a 50-cent pay raise last year, earning nearly $40 million. Yeah, of course. The reckless short-term decision-making to secure record profits in 2023 has had devastating yet entirely predictable consequences in the U.S. market. Farish and other members of the council wrote in a letter to Tavares last month. Those consequences include the rapid degradation of our iconic American brands. You created this problem, the dealers wrote in an unusually direct rebuke. Again, very rare to see dealers sort of call out publicly a CEO like that. Stellantis declined to make Tavares available for an interview. Again, that's normal PR bullshit. In a statement, the company said his compensation was in line with other automotive CEOs, taking into account corporate profits. The president of the UAW, Sean Fain, has been just as strident in his criticism of Tavares, accusing him of backpedaling on promises to revive operations at a shuttered factory in Belvidere, Illinois, planning to move production of the Dodge Durango, a large SUV from Detroit to Canada. Nothing against Canadians, but obviously I'd prefer to have a Dodge Durango built here in America. Either we allow an out-of-control CEO and his billionaire backers who've enjoyed years of record profits to close plant after plant and continue destroying our country, Fain told union members last month, or we stand up. The confrontation between Stellantis and the UAW comes a year after strikes helped workers win record pay raises. As part of the contract that ended those strikes, workers won the right to walk out if the company didn't meet its commitments, a right the union is now threatening to invoke. The company denied it was violating any commitments to the UAW and said if it had not confirmed plans to move Durango production. Stellantis has abided and will continue to abide by their agreement of parties reached in 2020, Carlos Zalanga, Chief Operating Officer of Stellantis North America, said in an email to Fain last month. Sorry, my mouth is a bit parched, so I may be reading this too fast. The problems at Stellantis raised doubts about the series of acquisitions during the last decade that made it the fourth largest car maker after Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai Kia. Stellantis is fifth if the Alliance of Renault and Nissan and Mitsubishi is considered one company. The deal-making led by Tavares. Yeah, I'm just going to go get some water. Yeah. The deal-making led by Tavares was supposed to allow the company's car brands to share the cost of developing new technology and save money by using common components. The rationale is that bigger car makers had a better chance of surviving the upheaval caused by the industry's shift to electric vehicles and autonomous driving. Those benefits have not materialized. Company hoped. So word selection. Yeah. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but pretty much they're fucked. They're in some, deep shit. We shouldn't swear. I think that may not ask the Google. Stellantis files more lawsuits against UAW. Yep. So stop sharing, end the stream, and